So, full time at the Red Bull Arena, and the final score is RB Leipzig 1, Schalke 3 in a big upset in one of the afternoon's games. Probably the game of the day, really. It was a very, very entertaining match. End to end, a lot of the times, both sides had very good chances. I think, on reflection, I think RB Leipzig will be sort of ruining early wasted opportunities. They started the game, I guess they started the game with Schalke on top. Schalke looking good really in terms of counter pressing, in terms of hassling the Leipzig players, and that they just seemed up for it, and they seemed to out Leipzig in many ways in terms of the way they pressed, in terms of the way they kind of won the ball back high up the pitch, and they really caused Leipzig one or two issues early on. Then eventually RB came back into the game. They started to play their football. They created a couple of really good early opportunities. Sabitzer smacked one off the crossbar from outside the box. They went to, of course, the goal line technology, and it hit the bar, bounced down, and it was not over the line, so that one wasn't given. And then not long after that, Alexander Nubel was brought into action. Poulsen had a shot saved after a good bit of play. It was a good first save from Nubel. The second save was even better, though. It was he had to get up quickly from the first save. The ball rebounded out to, I think it was Sabitzer. And again, it wasn't the best shot in the world, but Alexander Nubel did brilliantly to keep it out. It was a great double save. And that really kept Schalke in it. It kept them hopeful that they could really get something from the game. I think they came here with high expectations, but obviously tempered by the fact that you're going to Leipzig. They're top of the table. They're playing really well. They're flying at the minute. But they persevered. The goalkeeper kept them in the game early on. And from then on, I think they grew into it in terms of the first half. They created a couple more opportunities. Rabbi Matondo, who we're going to get onto in a minute, looked very lively again. Well, I say again, he's on his return from injury. He comes back into the starting lineup today. Looks lively. And eventually, Schalke win a corner, I think on about the 41st minute or so, just before half-time. They win the corner, they take the corner, it's well executed, there's a flick on at the near post, and at the back post, Salif Sane is there to just nod it into an empty net pretty much. It was a wonderfully worked set piece. And again, probably against the run of the play, RB Leipzig had some really good chances to get the lead, and to perhaps get, 2 or 3 as well in the first half. Sabitzer, I think, had another chance. But it was Schalke who got on top first. Like I say, a really well-worked set piece. And from there, the game did seem to just change, and all of a sudden it swung back in Schalke's favour. And then really a decisive moment before half-time. We get to a situation where Harit is in the box. His leg appears to be dragged away from him by Haidara, who came to the starting 11 today as well, for his first start of the season, I believe. It does appear from the first angle they showed it on television, it did appear that maybe Harit left his leg dangling out somewhat and maybe was enticing the foul, but there was a second camera angle that appeared to show that there was more contact than the first angle had given us. And it did seem as if Haidara had kind of made contact and prevented Harit from moving forward, tripped his leg somewhat. And after consulting VAR, the referee decided penalty. And that was, I think, the defining moment of the game. I think at 1-0 down, you still fancy RB Leipzig to come back into it, maybe even to still win. They're at home. They've shown at home this season they can persevere, they can come back from behind. But I think, this was to be a crucial moment, and Harit, he stepped up, he slotted the ball away brilliantly for the penalty, made it 2-0. No, there was nothing the goalkeeper could do about it, really. It was a wonderfully taken penalty kick. And again, right before half-time, I think on the 42nd minute or so, it really was a bit of a killer blow for Leipzig. They would have gone into half-time thinking, okay, we're in this, we should really have had one, possibly 2 goals. And somehow we come in at half-time 2-0 down, and I'm sure they would have been very disappointed about that. But then second half, and it was a bit of a game, a bit of a change of plan from both sides. I think Leipzig came out far more on the front foot. They pushed men forward. They tried to get a bit of width. I think one of the things to take away from today's game is that they changed formation to somewhat more of a 4-4-2, more conventional, Whereas in previous weeks, that their fullbacks or wingbacks, as they should be called, were much higher up the pitch, and they gave Leipzig a lot more width, and they gave a lot more space inside them for the likes of Sabitzer and Werner to get some more room and manoeuvre. That didn't really happen today, and you could see with the formation they struggled to keep hold of the ball as well, with the lack of men in midfield. They were just playing a pivot of Deme and Haidara. So again, I think Leipzig, they'll be disappointed in the way they played, certainly in the second half, because they had a couple of good chances, but they just couldn't seem to get that killer blow. They couldn't seem to kind of make anything stick. Kept giving the ball away. And I think for the third goal, again, just another decisive moment. They poured too many men forward. They were left in a situation where I think they had two defenders, the two centre-backs, and they had, after losing the ball half the pitch, they had 3 or 4, Schalke players closing in on them. And again, right before half-time, I think on the 42nd minute or so, it really was a bit of a killer blow for Leipzig. They would have gone into half-time thinking, okay, we're in this. We should really have had one, possibly 2 goals, and somehow we come in at half-time 2-0 down. And I'm sure they would have been very disappointed about that. But then second half, and it was a bit of a game, a bit of a change of plan from both sides. I think Leipzig came out far more on the front foot. They pushed men forward. They tried to get a bit of width. I think one of the things to take away from today's game is that they changed formation to somewhat more of a 4-4-2, more conventional. Whereas in previous weeks, that their fullbacks or wingbacks, as they should be called, were much higher up the pitch, and they gave Leipzig a lot more width, and they gave a lot more space inside them for the likes of Sabitzer and Werner to get some more room and manoeuvre. That didn't really happen today, and you could see with the formation they struggled to keep hold of the ball as well, with the lack of men in midfield. They were just playing a pivot of Deme and Haidara. So again, I think Leipzig, they'll be disappointed in the way they played, certainly in the second half, because they had a couple of good chances, but they just couldn't seem to get that killer blow. They couldn't seem to kind of make anything stick. Kept giving the ball away. And I think for the third goal, again, just another decisive moment. They poured too many men forward. They were left in a situation where I think they had two defenders, the two centre-backs, and they had, after losing the ball half the pitch, they had 3 or 4, Schalke players closing in on them in a breakaway. It just so happened that the ball was rolled through. Rabbi Matondo was put in on goal, 1v1, and it was a superb finish to make it 3-0 to Schalke at the time, just after the half-time break. And again, I mean, that was the killer blow, really. I think the second goal was pivotal in the way the game was going to go, in terms of whether Leipzig could get back into it. But I mean, this just, you felt as if this put a seal on it. 3-0 up with about half an hour to play. And again, I mean, what a return, for Rabbi Matondo. Comes back in, 19 years of age, the Welshman who, signed from Man City last season. I don't think he made the start in the Bundesliga that he would have hoped for last year, but he came in today and he looked brilliantly. He stretched the defence, he looks lively. He put in a great cross too, late on, for Borgsteller, at the back post. It was a great save to deny him. But his overall play was brilliant. Like I say, he's got pace, he's dynamic, he's direct, but he also has good skill, comes through the Man City Academy, and, they teach them the right way to play football. And he certainly looks like a great prospect. And I think today was the sort of finally what Schalke fans would have wanted to see from him, really. He came in with a fairly big reputation. People are hoping that he'll follow in the likes of Jadon Sancho's footsteps. And I think today was the first sign there is a real player in there for the future for Schalke, and he'll be thrilled. Elsewhere, Harit played brilliantly again. I think that's seven games this season under Wagner, and in those 7 games he scored 4 times and assisted 4 times. I mean, you can't really ask much more than that. Played wide today, drifted centrally, did his usual thing, was creative, and again, it was a brilliant performance. I think you have to say too, Zeda as well was brilliant. He's been superb all season centrally, and he had a wonderful little moment where he kind of set up a counter-attack with some lovely touches and a layoff, and it didn't lead to anything, but it just oozes class really in the centre of the park. And he played brilliantly again as well. No surprise there. Sane was a rock at the back and got his goal today, deservedly so. And even Nubel in goal. I think despite the late howler, for RB Leipzig's goal to make it 3-1 in the end. I think he put in a really good shift. He made some terrific saves, and yeah, ultimately, it will be undone by that howler of a mistake. It was a long-range shot from Emil Forsberg just outside the box, and he appeared to try and punch it away. Got it completely wrong. The ball maybe swerved in the air, perhaps, and he ended up sort of punching it into his own net. I think it came off the crossbar and went in, but a bit of a howler, a bit of a comical moment. But for 85 minutes, he was brilliant today, and was one of the real reasons why Leipzig, walked away pointless today. So yeah, a superb performance from Schalke. They'll be thrilled. I think you really have to start looking at them now under Wagner as potential candidates to be in Europe again. Maybe not the Champions League, but certainly to get back into the Europa League places. They've made a really good start ever since the Bayern game. They've came on leaps and bounds. For Leipzig, it's just one of those days. I think they didn't play well defensively. They sold themselves short a lot of the times. Tactically, there's one or two questions about the 4-4-2, its effectiveness under Nagelsmann. But I think they'll rue early missed chances. They could have put the game not to bed, but they could have had a 2-0 lead before Schalke scored, and that would have been a completely different game then, if not for Nubel in goal. So yeah, disappointing for RB Leipzig. Bayern's win will put the pressure back on Leipzig today in this ever-changing title race. Some will say, Leipzig aren't ready for the title race yet, but I think today they'll just reflect on missed opportunities and poor defensive moments and perhaps slightly wrong tactics. But for Schalke, a great day, a wonderful day for them. They continue to sort of improve and impress under Wagner, and I think they'll be thrilled today. So final score at the Red Bull Arena, RB Leipzig 1, Schalke 3, and that's all from me today. Thank you for watching.